Hey guys, how's it going? Kriparian here. So we just had a new expansion announcement. We got the Witchwood expansion coming up at some point in the near future, please, hopefully very soon. And we have some new mechanics. We got 6 cards to reveal. We got some news of a pre-order package that includes 20 bonus packs that some people are pretty excited about. It's pretty good because that includes 2 40-pack pity timers if you get like some of the free rewards, I imagine. And well, it's some pretty cool stuff. So let's run it over for you guys, and you might have some better idea about what's going on from the expansion with my card reviewing expertise. So I want to kick it off with the legendary cards. We got 3 legendary cards to see today, and the first 2 have hero power manipulation. So the first one is Gen Greymane. This expansion kind of has like the werewolf theme, Worgen, as they are called in the Warcraft universe. So it's a bit spoopy stuff, and there's like, you guys can see the things around. That's what we got, all right? This is the theme of the expansion. You guys can see the trailer if you want more of the theme and the camping and I don't know, it's whatever. Anyway, the cards themselves are pretty cool. So again, at the start of the game, you don't have to have this card in your hands. It just has to be in your deck, and it activates at the start of the game. A few other card games have mechanics like these, and they are really cool. I like them a lot. The risk is this card sucks, 6 mana, 6/5, that's crap, right? And your deck is going to be worse because your deck has to have only even cards, but if it does, your hero power costs 1, so it does help a lot of combo scenarios, but a lot of combo decks might not be able to have their combo because, well, you can only have even cost cards. That restricts you to half the card pool. That's a pretty bad thing. So yeah, pretty interesting card, high cost, but I think cards like this and the next are going to be a lot more powerful in the wild format, as, you know, cutting the card pool by half is less of a big deal there, but who knows. These cards are very well designed if you think about it. So if you can only have even cost cards, but your hero power costs 1, you can just use your hero power on turn 1. On turn 3, you can use a 2-cost card with a hero power. On turn 5, you can use a 4-cost card and a hero power, or 2 2-cost cards. You get the idea. So yes, you restrict your card pool, but you don't really restrict your curve. And a 1-mana hero power, well, it depends on the hero power, but a 1-mana hero power is generally pretty decent tempo, so you're not really losing out very much in any way, shape, or form, in fact. So it's pretty good. The other counterpart of this is Baku the Moon Eater. It's a 9-mana 7/8, so a lot crappier as a card, so it costs more to have this card in your deck. You can only have odd cost cards, and in my opinion, odd cost cards are just blatantly more powerful. Because 1-drops. 1-drops are really crazy. So you can just run a bunch of 1-drops. And yeah, so the cost of Baku is really high, but the cost of his requirement is lower than Gen. So that's why it's kind of balanced, I guess. We'll have to see which one wins out. I imagine one of them will. And yeah, so if you're going to have odd cards, you get an upgraded hero power. This is literally the Justicar effect from TGT. So Mage does 2 damage, Hunter does 3 damage, Warlock doesn't take any damage when it uses the hero power. Rogue, let's not talk about Rogue. But the hero powers are generally pretty cool and pretty good, and these cards are very well designed, as I mentioned, so you can't have any even cost cards with Baku, but your hero power costs 2 with Baku. So, you know, you fill your 2 and your 4. But honestly, Baku is a little bit more flexible because if you just run a bunch of 1-drops, you can just play 2 1-drops on turn 2, and that's just fine. So, really cool design. Love the cards, and I hope there's a lot more of this stuff happening. I'll do the last legendary last because, well, I have some choice words for it. But in the meantime, we have some interesting cards, some new mechanics. The first one is the Pumpkin Peasant, a 3-mana 2/4 lifesteal card, and each turn this is in your hand, you swap the attack and health. So basically, it's a different card on turn to the next and back and forth. And it's a pretty decent card for a neutral common, I'd say. So it's pretty interesting. I don't know if it's constructed decent, but it looks pretty good to me. Lifesteal is definitely a very powerful mechanic, as we learned, but most of the lifesteal cards kind of suck. And this kind of sucks too, but that doesn't mean it's bad because the kind of sucky lifesteal cards are pretty good, so we'll see. The next one is one of my favorites. Echo is coming back. Phantom Militia, 3 mana, 2/4 taunt. Echo is the same effect as the Unstable Evolution that we had in the previous expansion, where if you play this card, you get another copy in your hand, but this copy gets removed at the end of the turn. So basically, if you have 9 mana and this one card in your hand, you can play 3 of them and then it disappears from your hand at the end of the turn. Now, when I saw this on the minion, I immediately lost my mind because of the potential synergy with Summoning Portal. So what's better than 3 Phantom Militias for 9 mana? Well, 6 Phantom Militias guarding a crushingly win more Summoning Portal for 10 mana. Wouldn't you think so? Yeah, I think so. Now, it's kind of the perfect case. If we have more 3 and 4 mana Echo cards, Summoning Portal might be like one of the best cards of this expansion. Though, maybe not, because it depends how many Echo cards they release, and also depends on what Warlock needs, because even though that sounds completely insane, Warlocks don't really struggle with pushing taunts on the board right now. You guys might be familiar with Q-Block and Control Lock, which is here to stay for the next standard cycle. However, the next standard cycle won't include those cards, so Phantom Militia might be a card that might be overlooked. Probably not. I think it's still really good. Probably not, but it might be a card that will be overlooked. The Summoning Portal combo might be a combo that will be overlooked, but if that is the case, I imagine it will come back really strong a year from now. So keep that on your radar. Then we have a new Warrior card with a new mechanic. It's the only class card that we got to see today, the Militia Commander. 4 mana, 2/5, so pretty crappy stats, but it gains 3 attack when you play, and it highlights the new Rush mechanic. So the Rush mechanic is basically charge that can only attack other minions. Now, we've seen this before in other card games, and it's a pretty strong mechanic. It's actually a really strong mechanic. A lot of the time when you're playing Rush cards, it's literally charge and you're fighting for the board. And Warrior, a lot of the time, well, it fights for the board. So it's a very powerful board fighting card. It's a 4 mana, 5/5 action on the turn that you play it, which is ridiculous. Now, I don't think this card's going to break the game or anything, but in terms of mid-range threats, Warrior could use a few more, and this is certainly one. So it's very powerful in that way, and I'm curious to see how they will utilize more cards of the Rush mechanic. The Rush mechanic is just a very good mechanic. You have to think of a card with Rush kind of like a spell. All right, so what is this card going to hit most of the time? If it's hitting like a 3 or a 4 drop, it's probably taking about 3 damage and killing a card. So you have to think of it kind of like a Shadow Bolt, but you get to keep a 2/2 at the end for 4 mana. Is that good? Yeah, that's actually pretty damn good. So pretty good card, and we'll have to see what comes in after this. I doubt we're just going to have 1 or 2 Rush cards. I hope we're going to have a lot. And then finally, the last card revealed today. It's legendary. It's a Zelina Soul Thief. It's a 7-cost 3/3, and the battle cry is replace your hand with a copy of your opponent's. Now, this card might be like, oh wow, I wonder if I can take a bunch of cards. That would be so cool. Let me tell you what this card is. Remember how I complained about Divine Favor and Paladin being extremely oppressive because of mostly Divine Favor, and that Divine Favor should go to the Hall of Fame because it's really not fun to play against someone who rushes a bunch of garbage on the board, and then when you're actually playing a real deck that has real decisions to make and you have 8 cards in your hand and they draw 8 cards, and on turn 11 they have no cards in their deck while you as a control deck with card draw only have 16 cards in your deck? Well, this is what this card is. It is a neutral Divine Favor, ladies and gentlemen. Now, it's a little bit worse because you can't really play out your hand and play it kind of as a surprise. But if the meta allows for it, this will be insanely oppressive against control and combo decks. So I did not particularly like this card, but if you are a aggro player, if you are a aggro paladin player, you are going to love this card. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it'll be good. It's possible that it will be more of an aggressive type of meta. It's a very meta-dependent card, but it will certainly put some hurt on those control and combo decks that, unfortunately, I love playing. So that's it. That's what we got for the cards. I'll leave you guys with all the relevant links below so you guys can gorge yourself on expansion details. And yeah, hope the hype is real for you too. Hope you enjoyed my video, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.